You built a life that looks amazing, so why does it still feel like something is missing? If you're watching this, then maybe you're the strong one, the one that has the career, the relationships, the house, the family, the friends, the one that people rely on, the one who has it all together, but quietly you feel numb. You feel disconnected, you feel burnt out, like you're just going through the motions of life. You're feeling lost behind the hats you have to wear. This is my story of how I went from being that woman, the high achieving but quietly suffering, to becoming the most grounded, magnetic, aligned version of myself, one that I didn't even think was possible. And if there's a part of you whispering, there has to be more than this, I want you to know you're not alone. A few years ago, my life looked exactly how I thought it was supposed to. I'd worked for one of the largest mining companies in the world and had built a 13-year career with them. I was growing, I was respected, I was good at what I did. I worked on both national and international projects, and on paper, it was incredible. I was engaged to a partner for several years and we just bought the house, our dream house. We had the family car and we were planning to start a family. From the outside, it looked perfect, but the inside, I was struggling. I felt something felt off. I was disconnected from myself. I would lay awake at night wondering if this version of its success was really mine or just what I'd been told to want. And then everything started to change. Everything started to unravel. I ended the engagement and it was heartbreaking. It was confusing and so many people didn't really understand it. To be honest, it had been something I had been thinking about for nearly 2 years. Nearly 2 years. He was the dream guy, yet he just wasn't my dream guy. But I knew staying would mean slowly losing myself. And just days after that had ended, my dad was diagnosed with dementia. And I remember laying in my sister's spare room, completely disorientated. My world had completely changed in such a short amount of time. And I remember thinking, how did I get here? One moment I was planning a wedding and life was great. And the next I was just trying to figure out how to keep breathing. It was overwhelming, but I also gave myself the space to feel everything. I grieved and I allowed the space to ask myself, what now? Once everything had settled a little bit, after the separation and selling the house and moving out and finalizing that chapter of my life, I needed space. I needed to escape. I needed to figure out who I was and what I actually wanted with life. What is it that I want to create? What's my purpose? So I did something I'd always dreamt of doing. I packed up my bag and I took 12 months off work and traveled around the world. I called it my Eat, Pray, Love year. I was chasing something. Maybe it was healing, maybe it was freedom, maybe it was my light bulb moment of what it is that I was wanting to do with my life. But even then, being in the most beautiful countries in the world, something was still felt heavy. Then I received a phone call when I was in Vietnam and my mum told me that she had cancer. I flew back to Australia, and looking back at that now, I'm so grateful that I had that time off, as it allowed me to fully be present with her. No work deadlines that I needed or no distractions. I was just being able to be the person there for her like she's always been able to show up for me. I was able to be fully present and help her on that journey. And not long after, she lost her life with cancer. And what was so beautiful is that we were all there by her side when she took her last breath. It was the most painful thing, and also there was something super sacred about that moment. After losing her, I felt like everything had crumbled. My relationships, my career direction, my family structure, it was all gone. I kept on wondering what the common theme was here, and it was me. And I was like, what is all of this turmoil trying to teach me here? Life kept knocking me down and I didn't know why, but I've always been good at doing. So I kept on doing, traveling, socializing, keeping busy. I would essentially avoid everything. But beneath all of that, I was still lost. Eventually, I moved into a little apartment in Brisbane, and it was the first time I've ever completely lived on my own. And wow, when you live alone, especially after chaos, you start meeting yourself on a completely different level, and one that you never knew that was there. There were nights when I'd be on the couch and I'd just be staring out the window asking, is this it? Is this what life is meant to feel like? I had the 9 to 5, I had the gym, I had the friends, I had the social life, but I was just existing. It was around that time that anxiety started to really kick in. And I don't mean a little bit of stress. I mean the kind that was relentless and panic that I couldn't shake. I started researching things to help my nervous system and how to shake this and trying to find something that could help. The gym I was going to had a recovery center where they did a lot of hot and cold exposure. So I stumbled across that and really dove into the recovery side of things. And that's when I came across breathwork and I attended one of their breathwork workshops. The first session changed everything. I didn't even realize I'd been breathing in a way that kept my body stuck in stress. It was constantly shallow. It was quick breaths. Like I was on high alert all the time. And then I did my first holotropic breathwork session and I can't even explain it. The release I had was like months, years of grief that I had stored in my body. I cried, I felt, I let go. And that breathwork session was my first taste of how powerful our bodies are and how it stores everything, how it stores the stress and the trauma. Later, this would become a cornerstone of my breathwork journey and the work that I was doing in NLP and also nervous system regulation. I'd always dreamed of living by the beach and I was thought, you know what? I'm going to do that. I one day just decided, so no more waiting. I moved to the Gold Coast and I didn't know anyone, but I knew I needed a change. New space, new energy, a fresh start. I even started dating again and I realized that my relationship patterns were affecting all my connections, not just romantic ones. My professional relationships, my friendships, even my relationship with myself. They all followed that same disconnected script. I wanted to change. That's when I discovered NLP and decided to become an facilitator. And yes, I went to a personal development course to help with my dating life. I wasn't drawn to traditional therapy, but I was curious about why I kept repeating the same patterns over and over again, the same dynamics. So I enrolled in the course and it was completely life-changing. I did the course more to help with myself than anything else, but what I discovered there blew my mind. My unconscious patterns, my beliefs, my programs, my behaviors, it was all playing a part and it all made sense. It's crazy to think that 95% of what we do is unconscious. It's about bringing that into your conscious awareness to give you the opportunity to change those patterns, to change those stories, to change those behaviors. And I walked out of that course feeling lighter, like I finally had the language and the tools to understand myself. That was the beginning of everything changing. I dove deep into the personal development space, the mindset work, the nervous system regulation, the realignment. And with every step, I began creating a life that actually felt like mine. I realized I didn't want to go back to corporate and I loved parts of it, but it didn't feel like me anymore. I was passionate about the people and helping them reconnect with themselves, to regulate their nervous system, to build confidence, to find purpose. So I co-founded a company with two other people, Mindfluencers, which is a leadership development company where we assist people in the workspace. It's the merge of the personal and professional growth. And I launched the podcast of Conversations That Count because I wanted to amplify stories that matter. Conversations that I wish I'd been a part of and wish I heard years ago. And I built the Calm Framework, a method I use for myself and for others. Connect with your truth, align with your values, lead from within, and move with intention. This framework helped me go from burnout to becoming her. So if you're in that place right now, where life looks good, but you feel like something is hollow or something is missing, I want you to know that I get it. I know what it's like to lay awake wondering, is this really it? I know the ache of wanting more, even when you can't quite put your finger on what it is that you want to create. This journey wasn't a straight line and it wasn't perfect, and no healing journey is. It was messy and it was painful and it was filled with moments where I felt completely lost. but it was also the most important thing I've ever done, coming home to myself. This story isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you've always been. So wherever you are right now, just know that the version of you who feels magnetic, feels connected, feels grounded and alive, she's already within you. If this resonates with you, I invite you to book a call, because the journey back to yourself doesn't have to take years, not when you have the right tools and the right guides for you.